Good afternoon, all. Camelback Trading 2724 and thepitfuturestrading.com coming to you this Wednesday afternoon, April 1st. And no April Fool's, well, it was pretty much an April Fool's joke on the bulls, as after a huge gap down, they looked to turn it around early. Now, I didn't expect this gap to fill. It was over 800 ticks, but they one time framed up the first 4 time frames of the day before stopping in E. They got back into, so here's our 4-day balance, right? We stretched it a bunch of times to the upside. Today, we opened below it. We got back into the bottom of it. All A through F we did. And then J period, we had one last gasp up to it. Didn't get into it. That's our afternoon rally high at 248.71. The low of that day is 249.03 or 05, 249.05. And that was all she wrote, as the bulls, whatever gas they had left in the tank, they used it up here only to flush out to new lows. We go out with a price probe as we make a new low in the last half hour, even though we closed above it. Right, 245.01. That's L's low. That's the base of it. We did close $1 higher, but until we open up tomorrow, we don't know if it's accepted or not. If we open below L's low, it's accepted. If we open above it, it's rejected. But that's why it's probing. We don't know. We had a chance for a price spike if we closed below G's low, but we did not. We have a bad tick, as you can see, all the way up here at 256 and change, 256 or 257.77. The high today in SPY is 251.44. The gap is not filled, and that is a bad tick. So just so you know that. It was a day, I believe, for the most part, it was short-term traders, which made it a little easier to read. Even when we were one-time framing up. The volume again, 180 million. The average is 269. The average is continuing to come down. So, and again, this volume's good, but it's nothing like it was. So I still think, even with this gap lower and down 4.5%, it was more shorter-term players in the market today. So I had a rough morning as far as my machines. My machines were down. Charles Schwab was down a good part of the first half hour, so I didn't do anything in A period. The only thing I might have done was when we opened, got below the bottom of that balance and came back into it, especially above our opening, I might have gone long. So that's one I missed. However, once I was back up and running, it became a pretty nice little cycle. The odds of a trend day up were going to be slim with all the indices down as much as they were. So each new high, not right at the new high, but to see as much as it can go, would fade it to see it come back in. So I did and on the flip side, because we were one-time framing up, anytime we came back in, we were above the opening, I went long. So B period, I took a long when we did that. I didn't take the long up here. I waited till B came back in and took it back up. Same thing in C. Backed off. Got long, took it off. D period, shorted it twice, both around the highs. Shorted it, came in, went back up again, shorted it, came in. Now, if we had single prints that held, I would have gotten out. But the odds of a trend day up, the way the market was slim, even though we were one-time framing up. So I was comfortable shorting it, and because we were one-time framing up, I was comfortable buying it on pullbacks. If the one-time framing up had stopped, then that game ends. I actually did it one more time in E. I went to long before we one-time framed down, came in, got long, out at A's high. So it was a very good morning based on those type of trades. Then the afternoon, things changed pretty dramatically. However, we had a chance for a trend day up at one point. We had a chance for a trend day down twice. So we made new low in F, came back in, same thing in G, with singles, and then an H. So when H period opened and could not take out G's low, I thought the odds of the single prints holding weren't going to be good, especially if it's short-term traders involved. If it's long-term sticky money that really wants out, they would have blown right through G's low. Remember, there's not a lot to the downside. 239.75 is really my next big destination on the downside. So the fact that we couldn't take it out made me comfortable. I got long, took it up. And then in I did the same thing, except, and I mean, I did this probably 3 or 4 times in H period for about 20 cents on 20 contracts each time. That's what it was giving you. And then in I continued to do it, but then I really thought the odds of stopping the one-time framing down at some point were going to be very good. And instead of doing it for 20 lots, at one point when I pulled back below H's high, I got long 100 contracts, and lo and behold, we went and popped the top and got out of them. So I was very happy with that, and that's the last trade I did on the day. J turned out to be our afternoon rally high. So now K opened all the way down, right? So we never really had a chance. If K had opened, like yesterday we did that trade on that short trade, if K had opened around J's high, never took it out and got below the opening, again, it would have been a nice short play to take down. But since K was down here, I just didn't do anything. I didn't short it. Could have, but I didn't. And I just watched KL and M. So it turned out to be a very nice day. And a day that trading's not easy. It never is, never will be. But it was a day that was the market generating information and being able to read it was easier today. Not the trading, never is, but reading the information. Okay, so let's go to destinations for tomorrow. So we closed at 246.15, but my first destination on the upside will be L's low of 245.01 because that's the price probe. We'll see tomorrow if it's accepted or rejected. Downside price probes have been rejected tremendously over the last year and a half, but we're in a little different times now, so we'll see tomorrow morning. Then we have the afternoon rally high of J's high of 248.71. And today's high of 251.44, and then filling the gap at 256.22. So it's still a 478-point gap. That's a large gap, but it was closer to 900. So they did a good job early, but really gave it up in the afternoon. And then above that, we have 257.94, which was the price spike from yesterday. Remember? H is low. Well, that's still in force. We closed below it. We gapped lower. That's where sellers were. And then above that, 259.94, 9 wide from yesterday. Now for the downside. Today's low, 243.90, is our first downside destination. Then below that, see, we have to go all the way over. I was using M's low as something possibly to lean on. That didn't hold. So my next destination right now is the 25th low of 239.75. Then on the 24th, we had 9 wide at 237.86. 235.05, our afternoon pullback low from the 24th. And then you had the tremendous gap, 233.80, and then filling the gap down at 229.39. It's a 441-point gap to the downside. So that's a good little question, good little bet to make. Which gap gets filled first? They're both around the same size. The downside one of 441 points at 229.39, or the upside gap of today of 478 points at 256.22. That would be interesting to see which one would get filled first. Now let's go to the charts. So monthly, we start off the month. Obviously, we're down, one-time framing down. It's a long month, just started. Let's see what they do. Do we have an inside month? Don't we? Be interesting. Weekly, right? 3 weeks in a row, we made higher highs, but couldn't get the distance away to get into that void because there was a void up there, and they rolled over. So we're in balance right now. My destination would be 228.02 in the intermediate time frame, but we'll see. We'll see what they do the rest of the week, the next 2 days. And then on the daily, where you can see it clearer, we were one time framing up 6 days, but I told you the last 4 days could get no distance from each other, no extension. It was basically a 4-day balance, even though it was one time framing up. So what happened? Everybody who was long up here finally gave it up, and we went, not only did we go to the bottom of the balance, which I said we would, we went even lower. And the important thing is we closed below that level. So right now, I'm saying the daily is down. Two gaps are my main focus. This one from today and this one from the 24th. Which one gets filled first? The buyers have their work cut out. The first step is to get back into that 4-day balance and then attack this gap. Sellers, obviously, their next destination is that 239.75 low, then the 233.80 low, and to attack the gap down here. We'll see which side comes out on top. The only real silver lining is the volume wasn't 300 million. It's 186, so it's going to be close to 200 million with the after hours. It's still good, but nothing crazy. And also the fact that we couldn't get back, the fact that we couldn't hold single prints is another little silver lining. So we'll see if the bulls can hold today's low, reject the price probe, and start getting back up into today's gap. I hope you had a good day trading. Have a great night, and we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.